Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your Vibe mentor. Welcome to the new office, the new space. Might look pretty similar to you, but we are in a new home. I have moved this past weekend and I promised you a Thursday video and I'm going to deliver on that. It's not going to be as educationally focused as my typical videos. And yet I do also believe that there is tremendous value in sharing my experience and story with you, helping you remember I'm a real person and that I want to know you. I know that it's really easy to fade into the background of YouTube and just be a consumer and not necessarily a contributor. And so I hope that you are considering yourself part of my soul family and not just a consumer of this content, because we truly are on this journey together. And my story is here in service to you, as we all are, that as we are authentic and willing to share and be seen, we actually help elevate the collective whole. So I don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to keep this short, but I did kind of want to give you just a little synopsis of what I have experienced personally over the last 2 years and why I've moved and how we're going to move forward. So I do promise to get back into the traditional content or the standard content that I usually offer. In fact, I'm working on a really, really, really fun video. It's super fascinating, and I'm glad to give it more time because it needs some time to breathe. But it's all around fourth phase water and plasma and trauma memory and how we can recode the waters of our body, and how that connects with both of the elements of water and light. And it's really going to be fun. So do make sure you're subscribed to get notified of that. But let's kind of dig into why it's been 2 years since I created a vlog. Um, if you have followed me for a long time, you know about 2 years ago, I decided to move back in with my ex-husband and the father of my children. And I have to acknowledge now in this moment that we were together because we had similar energy, or I should say, we triggered each other's trauma properly. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. We tend to be attracted to the people who are going to trigger our trauma. We are attracted to each other based on our traumas, and that's a hard pill to swallow. That of course only applies to those who are in unhealed trauma. So it doesn't have to be that way. And so acknowledge that when I met my ex-husband 11 years ago, I was still very much early on in my healing journey. And I had done a lot of work. I had even come to a point where I thought, this is it. It's going to be better from now on. I've got it figured out. And yet I had some pretty significant things that needed to be triggered to be brought forward. And it's really fascinating to have just gone through the intensity of moving out again. And I want to acknowledge that certainly there was the prevalence of narcissistic behaviors, certainly more so 11 years ago than there was this past year or two. But in my understanding of trauma and healing myself and receiving the guidance on trauma spotting and watching so many people heal, and of course, my own profound shifts and changes through healing, and the understanding that narcissistic traits all exist on a spectrum. We all can be a little bit narcissistic. That did not necessarily discredit that human being from the potential for healing. And I'm not going to debate that. You know, certainly there are some pretty severe people on that spectrum who probably can never heal. And it has been declared professionally in the psychology world that it cannot be healed. So I'm not going to claim that, but I felt very drawn to this person. We had extreme chemistry. The analogy of two plates tipping us together and us colliding is certainly appropriate. And I believed that through trauma healing, I could help him heal, and I could heal our family, and I could give my daughters something beautiful and amazing. And unfortunately, no matter how much we try to help someone heal, they cannot heal unless they focus on that healing for themselves. And it's hard enough for us to change. When we're driven to do so, it's almost impossible if we don't have a drive to do that. And so while I do not have a need, I no longer have a need to demonize this person to justify my freedom, my well-being, the health of my children and our family, even though it's a little smaller now. And I also recognize that you can love someone unconditionally from afar, that you don't have to self-sacrifice. You don't have to put yourself in a toxic environment to still love them. I also want to acknowledge too that while someone may have been on that spectrum and is doing the work and is getting better, there still can be a level of internal chaos that they refuse to acknowledge and or are not capable of acknowledging. They're not able to sense it. It's kind of like sugar. If you eat sugar every day, you're like, yeah, that sugar's fine. But if you go without sugar and you eat sugar, you're like, wow, that feels like crap. We can become so numb to, or the word oblivious comes to mind, but I don't want to be rude or insensitive, but it's subconscious, it's repressed or suppressed. It is hidden in the shadows of our memory and our body. And if we choose not to see it, we're not going to see it. And that is a self-defense mechanism that is known in neurobiology, and that's okay. That person gets to pursue their own path, and I honor that path and that journey. And while I am grateful for our two beautiful daughters and the 11 years that we had together, it is time for that to be done. And while I say this carefully, I don't want to hurt anyone. I have never been more peaceful in my entire life than I have been the last few days. And yes, it was a very significant push. I'm even recognizing my own swelling, that there certainly was a task at hand, a significant task at hand to make that happen. We did move long distance, so I am 85 miles farther away from where I was before. And this culmination moment is so much bigger than just a move. It's bigger than just the ending of a relationship. It's bigger. It's the biggest thing that I've ever experienced in my entire life. And it is that recognition that I will be 46 tomorrow, April 4th. 4/4 is my birthday. So talk about safety and stability and foundations. That is the very definition of my existence. But most importantly, I have lived a very I want to say challenged life, but that's really interesting because that was my past. It's no longer my existence. And there's something called the adverse childhood experience test or score. And there's 10 different factors. And the more factors that you have experienced, the more significant your trauma or likely complex trauma. It is not a test score to brag about. We'll put it that way. And I have experienced 8 out of 10. And that put me in survival mode for a long time, always running, always struggling, always overgiving, people pleasing, self-sacrifice, perfectionism, control, hypervigilance, all of the trauma responses. And it's amazing how somatic trauma spotting can be so life-changing. And when I look back at the versions of me that I have been, I never fathomed it could be this good, or it could be this peaceful, or it could be this easy. But as we've talked about recently, being able to receive the profoundly awe-inspiring gift of a peaceful, easy, abundant life that God is always trying to give us, we have to be willing to let go of people we love, of the dream of a perfect family, of our dream home. Although I have moved to what I will now call my dream home, because, and then it's no self-delusion there. I could not have asked for anything better. I'll give you a tour someday, and you check out the Shorts channel and you'll see me walking around and hanging out in my beautiful, amazing home. But anyways, the whole point is that if I can go from white bread and Kool-Aid and homeless at 16, mind you, that Kool-Aid didn't even have sugar, to there is profound levels of peace. There's no words to describe this stillness, the safety, the ease, the peace that is possible. And I am checking my notes because I wanted to make sure that I covered everything. So I'm not reading from a script or anything this time. It was really important for me to share with you that if I can do it, you can do it too. And talk about the bottom of the barrel moment. It started at the bottom, not an ounce of a helping hand or privilege. And there is a way, and I can't take credit for it. Somatic trauma spotting was gifted to me by the divine. And only because I committed to that healing path was I able to receive that. And my gifts came online. And that's why this is such an important message, is because you were made perfectly imperfect for a purpose. And every hair on your head is counted and known by the creator of the universe. And that means that every experience and every aspect of you was perfect, even if it was painful. And I know that's really hard to understand sometimes, but your pain becomes purpose. Your pain leads to peace. And it is possible. The desires of your heart were put there by the divine to guide you towards your purpose. Your purpose is thriving. So that means that you get to create a life that nurtures you. You don't have to suck it up or tolerate or deal with anything. It gets to be easy. It gets to be fun. It gets to be amazing. It gets to be beautiful. And so if you're always running towards the next thing externally, like I was, the next move, the next degree, the next pay increase, the next husband or boyfriend, although I've only had one, well, many boyfriends, one husband. I was always putting it out there, and that keeps us in a loop. And that's the downfall of trauma, is that run response or that fight response or the control response or any of those trauma responses will keep you in that loop of, I got to do this thing, then I'll get there. I got to accomplish this, then I'll get there. I got to build a business and save the world and the education system all at the same time so that I can prove I'm valuable and worthy enough so that I have deserved or earned the right to experience the life of my dreams. It's all an activated nervous system state versus a parasympathetic state. It's all pointing to unhealed trauma that lives in the body that keeps us stuck in that loop. And the goalpost will always move. You'll never get there by seeking the thing outside of it. And I get how annoying that can be to hear, because I hated hearing it from other people, because it's a felt sense. That's the problem. Not the problem, the challenge in articulating this is, yeah, believe to receive, understand your limiting beliefs, affirmations, subconscious reprogramming, all these buzzwords that we throw around can seem so intangible. And yet, when you experience the closing of a stress response in your body, shining the light of awareness on the part of you that believes it has to earn its right, when you work with those inner child parts and they let go of the subconscious programs, you understand that you are a network and a system of parts, and they're all trying to drive. And that's why it's really not your fault that you haven't been able to make things happen so far. That the imprint of the codes that you received on the waters of your body from the people who projected their beliefs and their experience on you can be rewritten, can be cleansed and purified and restored and restructured. That you can increase the plasma in your body so that you become more connected to your truth and your authentic identity. I can't even begin to explain to you how good it gets. It gets to be easy. It gets to be fun. You can rest in absolute certainty of your safety in every experience, without exception. Nothing has power over you, not money, not the government, nothing. You become untouchable, unshakable confidence, and the limitless creator you were made to be. Take a minute and just feel into the energy, because I can feel it. And I know if you try to tap in and if you're conscious enough, you can feel it. Truth resonates in the body. I'm not here to sell you something. I'm just here to be me, to do what I was designed to do, and to find that fulfillment and nurturing through it. You get to create and slash receive. It's not about effort. It's about allowing the life of your dreams. Whatever you need, whatever you desire, it is available to you. You just have to learn how. And there is a roadmap. It is possible. All right. I have to run for my client I am supposed to be with right now. I am sorry I'm 2 minutes late. If you want to work one-on-one, let me know below. There's lots of free options so you can start getting started today. I love you, my friends. Namaste.